Welcome to Deep Dive Discussion, where we explore the ideas, strategies, stories, and inspiration that really matter. This program is produced by Ysh Estayo, the creator of this podcast. Now let's dive in. So, today we're jumping into a really interesting one. The subtle art of not giving a feck.
Right. That title definitely catches your attention, doesn't it?
It does, but the core idea, it's actually pretty profound. It's basically saying we have like a limited amount of mental and emotional energy, fecks to give.
Exactly. And it's not about being apathetic or, not caring about anything. Not at all.
No, it's the opposite, really. It's about being super intentional, choosing what really deserves that energy.
Being mindful about your priorities.
So our goal here today is kind of give you the shortcut. Pull out the absolute key lessons from the book.
Yeah, the surprising bits, the practical stuff you can actually use.
Without needing to wade through the whole thing if you're short on time, you know. Get you well-informed, fast.
Think of it like decluttering your brain space. Less reaction, more conscious choice about what gets your attention.
Okay, so let's start with one of the big ones. They call it the feedback loop from hell. Sounds dramatic.
It does, but it's a simple idea, really. We're kind of pushed to always feel positive, right?
Yeah, constantly. Be happy. Be positive.
But life isn't like that. You feel bad sometimes. And the book argues it's the fighting against feeling bad. The feeling guilty or anxious about feeling anxious.
That's the loop. Feeling bad about feeling bad.
That's the loop. It just makes everything worse. It's sort of counterintuitive.
So instead of trying to, eliminate all negative feelings...
You accept them. You see them as, well, just part of being human. It actually takes away some of their power,
Right, like trying to fight a wave versus just letting it pass over you.
And think about the energy you save. If you're listening and you feel overwhelmed, maybe some of that is just the pressure to always be on and positive.
That makes total sense. The book puts it pretty bluntly, doesn't it? Something like it.
Yeah, stop trying so hard to be happy. Let things suck sometimes. It's part of life.
It's almost freeing to hear that.
It really is. Okay, so related to that is this other idea, the trap of trying.
Okay, what's that about? Is it like, don't bother trying?
No, not like that. It's about trying too hard to impress people. Trying to seem like something you're not. Seeking that external validation all the time.
Ah, right. Putting on a show, that can be exhausting.
Totally exhausting. And the book argues that real success, real connection, it comes from being authentic, being honest.
Not from the performance.
Exactly. If you're just focused on how you look, you lose touch with what actually matters to you.
That connects to learning too, doesn't it? Like if you're just trying to look smart instead of actually understanding.
You're just fooling yourself, really. It's shallow.
So the takeaway is?
Basically, be real. Stop pretending. Focus on what truly matters, not how you're seen. Drop the performance.
Be genuine. Got it. Okay, here's one I found really paradigm shifting. Happiness isn't the goal. It's framed as a problem.
Yeah. Well, not problem in a bad way, but more like happiness comes from solving problems.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
The idea is like a life without any problems isn't necessarily happy. It might even be boring, right? Real satisfaction comes from engaging with challenges, especially ones you choose, ones that mean something.
So life always has problems. The trick is choosing which problems you want to deal with.
Exactly. Don't wish for no problems, wish for better problems. Problems aligned with your values.
Okay. So avoiding difficult things doesn't lead to happiness.
It often leads to worse problems down the line. The book says something like, solve better problems and your life improves. Avoiding problems only creates worse ones.
That's a good one. Choosing your struggles, essentially.
Precisely. Okay, next up, the power of ordinariness.
This sounds, ordinary. In a world obsessed with being exceptional.
Right, that's the point. This constant pressure to be amazing, special, extraordinary.
Yeah.
It messes us up.
How so?
Well, it can lead to entitlement if you think you are special, or massive insecurity if you feel like you're falling short, which most of us do because the bar is often ridiculously high, especially with social media and stuff.
Yeah, the comparison trap.
Totally. So the book says, look, just accept that you're probably pretty average in the grand scheme of things. You're human, flawed, normal.
I'm good.
It's liberating. When you accept your ordinariness, you stop the delusional thinking, and you can actually focus on genuine growth. Small steps, real improvement.
Instead of chasing some impossible ideal.
Exactly. The quote is something like, accept your ordinariness so you can focus on growth, not delusion. It's a foundation.
I like that. It takes the pressure off. Okay, what about the value of chosen suffering? That sounds kind of grim.
It does, but it ties into the problem-solving thing.
Yeah.
Look, suffering's going to happen, right? Life throws curveballs.
Yeah, unavoidable.
But the book argues there's a difference between suffering that feels meaningless and suffering you endure for something you actually value.
Like struggling to build a business you believe in versus, I don't know, suffering through a terrible commute for a job you hate.
Exactly. The quality of your suffering changes based on why you're doing it. Suffering for your values can actually feel meaningful, purposeful.
So it's about the why.
The core lesson is basically your values determine the quality of your suffering. Choose good values. Choose what's worth struggling for.
That's powerful. Okay, moving on. The responsibility, freedom, connection. How does that work?
This one's subtle but really important. The idea is, even when stuff happens to you that isn't your fault,
Yeah, things you can't control.
right, you are always responsible for how you choose to respond. Your reaction, your interpretation, the meaning you make of it, that's always yours.
So taking ownership even when you're the victim.
It sounds weird, but yes, because blaming everything outside yourself leaves you powerless. Taking responsibility for your response actually gives you agency. It gives you back control, in a way.
Even in really tough situations.
Especially then. It's where your freedom lies in the choice of how to react. So the message is, own your choices. Even in pain, responsibility gives you power.
That's empowering. Okay, how about embracing being wrong for growth? Nobody likes being wrong.
Huh. True. But the book makes a strong case that needing to be right all the time is actually a huge barrier to learning anything.
Because you get defensive.
Exactly. You shut down. Real growth comes from being able to say, maybe I was wrong about that. Or, I don't know, let me find out. It requires humility.
So being wrong isn't failure, it's data. An opportunity to learn.
Pretty much. It's essential for progress. You can't learn if you think you already know everything.
So the advice is...
Stay humble. Keep learning. You don't need to have all the answers. Be open.
Makes sense. Then there's action over motivation. I think a lot of people get stuck here, waiting to feel motivated.
Oh, yeah. We think motivation comes first, then we act. But often it's the other way around.
Action creates motivation.
Yes. Just doing something, even a tiny step, can generate momentum, and the feeling of motivation follows. Don't wait for inspiration. Just start.
Even if you fail.
Especially if you fail. Failure is part of the process. You act, maybe you fail, you learn from it, you adjust, you act again. That's how things get built.
So less thinking, more doing.
Kind of. Or at least don't let the lack of motivation stop you from doing. The core idea is do something, fail, learn, repeat. That's how success is built.
I like that bias towards action. Yep, okay, nearly there. The power of no.
Crucial. Remember that limited energy, those limited fix?
Yeah.
Well, you got to protect them. Saying no to things that don't align with your values or things you just don't have capacity for. It's not rude.
It's self-respect.
Absolutely. It's setting boundaries. Every time you say yes to something, you're implicitly saying no to something else you could be doing with that time or energy.
So you need to be conscious about those trade-offs.
You really do. Saying no protects your focus and energy for what truly matters, as the book says. Saying no is a powerful act of self-respect.
Very relevant in today's world with so many demands on our attention.
Definitely. Okay, the last big one, and it's a heavy hitter. The ultimate prioritizer. Mortality.
Ah, thinking about death. Cheerful.
Well, maybe not cheerful, but clarifying. The book suggests that confronting the reality that our time is finite. It's actually a really useful tool
How so?
because it forces you to ask, what really matters? Given that I don't have forever, how do I want to spend my time? What values do I want to live by? What legacy do I want to leave?
It cuts through the trivial stuff, puts things in perspective.
Exactly. It adds urgency and helps you focus on what's genuinely important, rather than sweating the small stuff you won't care about on your deathbed.
So the final message is kind of...
You have limited time.
Yeah.
Give your fricks wisely. Live a life that matters. Use that awareness to guide your choices.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping it all up, it really comes down to being intentional, doesn't it?
Totally. Knowing your energy is limited, choosing your problems and values, taking responsibility, acting even when you don't feel like it, saying no, and remembering the big picture.
It's all about deciding what truly deserves your limited fricks.
Precisely. And letting go of the rest.
So maybe a final thought for you listening after hearing all this.
Yeah, what's one thing, just one, that maybe you realize you've been giving too much energy to? Something you could perhaps stop giving a feck about?
And conversely, what's one thing that, based on these ideas, you might decide deserves more of your focus, more of your care, starting now.
Something to chew on.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening. Grab Ysh Estayo's latest book on Amazon. Need business consulting, artificial intelligence, book writing, and publishing? Ysh has your back. Contact Ysh Estayo or leave a comment. Until next time, keep diving deep.